In just over a week, close to 4,000 rockets have forced some 4 million Israelis into bomb shelters. As they seek cover, an aerial battle takes place in the sky, with Israel's Iron Dome providing an amazing layer of protection. Behind me is one of the many Iron Dome anti-missile systems here in south and central Israel. During the conflict with Hamas and other terror groups, the Iron Dome has shot down more than 90% of the rockets coming out of the Gaza Strip.
Imagine yourself that those 90% rockets that were intercepted would be falling into our cities.
CBN News met one of the men responsible for creating this technological marvel, retired General Doron Gavish. Through cooperation and funding from the U.S., Israel developed the anti-missile system 10 years ago. It's the technological equivalent of a bullet hitting a bullet.
10 years ago, it was only the beginning. We had to kind of invent the wheel because there is no other place in the world that something like this is going on.
This viral picture, literally seen round the world, captured the essence of the Iron Dome. On the right side, you see rockets fired from Gaza. Then on the left side, Iron Dome shoots them down.
I see, first of all, the willingness of the Hamas to throw rockets into our cities. This is something intolerable, and this is something that we cannot accept. I think neither us and neither any democracy in the world.
CBN News experienced the effectiveness of the Iron Dome when we took shelter from a rocket attack and heard the Iron Dome intercept 2 missiles overhead. General Gavish sees it as a true lifesaver on both sides of the fight. Many believe without Iron Dome, Israel would have been forced into a ground war with potentially massive casualties.
By the end of the day, we could look in the mirror and we could say we did something for the defense of Israel, we did something for our civilians, and we're saving life. And this is what the air defense is doing.
Well, Chris Mitchell joins us now with more. Chris, you have firsthand experience being in an area where there are incoming rockets and the Iron Dome goes into action. What's it like to be on the ground hearing this go on overhead?
Well, Andrew, it's kind of amazing. You saw that report when we were actually had to go into a CBN-provided bomb shelter, and thank you, CBN partners, for actually protecting the team down there. It's really amazing. You know, when you drive down south during a conflict like this, you can start to see the puffs of smoke when you get closer to the border there with the Gaza, and that's where the Iron Dome has hit the rockets. That's exactly. It's just like a puff of smoke where the Iron Dome missile hits these rockets. You can actually watch the Iron Dome track the rockets, almost follow them. It could go in a circular pattern, go like a curlicue, and just be able to hit that rockets. And some of the videos that many people have seen, really like Star Wars, like poof, poof, almost like July 4th fireworks, just knocking these rockets out of the sky. It's really a marvel. We first saw it in operation many years ago on the Gaza border, and this, as you saw there, we were in Yesha. We heard the alarm, went into the bomb shelter. Then when we came out, we just literally looked right above our heads and saw those puffs of smoke where the Iron Dome missile hit those rockets.
Of course, so many people living in fear in the entire region. Does this Iron Dome bring a psychological comfort to the people living in southern Israel specifically?
It does. It really does. Even though it's very, very difficult for them. We talked to a girl when we were down there in a place called Ophir-Keem. 3 times we had to either get on the ground and try to protect ourselves, or 2 other times we were rushing into a bomb shelter. We talked to this girl, Naam, who's been there living. She's 25 years old, been living like this for 20 years. And you could just see the impact of the alarms on her and the rocket attacks. But it does reduce the danger and the fear, but it can be misleading. For example, General Gavish, who we had in that report, he said when he hears the alarm, that the rockets are coming in, he's tempted to go out and look for the Iron Dome to hit. But he made the point they are 90% effective, not 100% effective. So you're supposed to go into the bomb shelters, and actually you're supposed to wait about 10 minutes, because what happens when the Iron Dome hits those rockets, obviously the shrapnel falls to the ground, so you don't want to be hit by those.
Chris, once that siren sounds, how long do people actually have from the time they hear it to the time they have to be safely in the shelter?
Well, Terry, it really depends where you are. For example, the people on the right on the border, we were about 2 miles from the Gaza border. It's really just a few seconds that people have time to get to a bomb shelter. And the further away you get, it could be up to 30 seconds or more. But it's really just very difficult. You can imagine what it's like if you have to get your family in a bomb shelter within just a few seconds. For example, in Sderot, which has probably been hit more than any other town or village in Israel, some of the mothers have to make a decision. Which child do they get out of their car seat, and run to a bomb shelter? It's just a terrifying place to be under that kind of threat when it could happen at any time.
Unimaginable, really. So that being the case, do most Israelis have shelter rooms right in their homes?
Most do, yes. Ever since 1991, after the first Gulf War, and that's when Saddam Hussein was firing Scud rockets, about 30 of them, into Israel. And after that, every new home had to have, or building, had to have a bomb shelter. The older places, actually in our building right now, we don't have one. I do, and it's at home in our apartment. It's my home office. But in Sderot, for example, they call that the bomb shelter capital of the world. So many of the older buildings, since they were right in the line of fire, the government went ahead and built bomb shelters. And if you go in that area, Terry and Andrew, many of the bus stops are actually bomb shelters as well. So people waiting for a bus can just literally go right into the bomb shelter if needed.
Chris, as far as military strategy, do you think Hamas is firing as many rockets as they are now because the Iron Dome is so effective, and it's a strategy simply to try and overwhelm it?
Exactly, and you've seen that in some of that Star Wars video that many people have seen, literally like July 4th, and you see the rockets coming in and the Iron Dome literally knocking them out. And certainly it's got to be a strategy of Hamas and other groups to try to just overwhelm the Iron Dome. So far, it doesn't look like it really has. The other thing I've wondered, and I was going to ask General Gavish about this, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be answering me, is when is Israel going to run out of their missiles to hit these rockets? Because Hamas and others have fired almost over 4,000 rockets. Thankfully, many of them haven't landed in Israel, and sometimes they land in uninhabited places. And the Iron Dome actually calculates within moments that if the rocket is going to hit a populated area or not, and then decides whether it's going to shoot a missile. But it's just an amazing technological marvel, and Israel's relieved that it has it in times like this.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us, and we're certainly praying for you and your team and your family and all those in that region. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thanks, Andrew.
You can get all the latest in Israel and more when you download the CBN News Channel app. Do that today.
Hello, I'm Gordon Robertson. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more encouraging videos like this one. Welcome to the 700 Club Interactive family, and God bless you.